Now it's been a while since I did one of these videos where I brainstorm a bunch of shit, but this is an interesting topic regardless. Now when it comes down to the Marvel Cinematic Universe beyond Phase 3, we know next to nothing on what's to come. However, there has been a bunch of rumours revolving around the Thunderbolts, and how they will eventually get their due in their own standalone film. Now for those who are unfamiliar with the concept of the Thunderbolts, this is essentially a team in which consists of villains who do a bunch of dangerous tasks in order to get a reduced sentence. So more or less this is Marvel's Suicide Squad. So what I want to do in this video is to pick out of the villains who I personally would want to see in the MCU's version of the Thunderbolts. And bear this in mind, this is not a speculation video or anything, this is just purely my wish list, and who I would personally want to see in this team. Now obviously the first pick that I have is of course Thunderbolt Ross, who will have a similar role to Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad, as he is the man behind the whole team. Now how I pitch the existence of the Thunderbolts in the MCU is that after the events of Avengers 4, the Sokovia Accords is still a thing, and that we have a new set of Avengers that are still lurking around after the events of Avengers 4. And so Ross has an idea in assembling a team of villains who would capture the Avengers. Pretty straightforward if you ask me. Or maybe by the time Phase 4 starts we can have Thunderbolt Ross become the Red Hulk. At the end of the day, the Savage Hulk's days are numbered, so why not introduce a new Hulk while you still have the chance? Now my next choice in the team is Zemo, who will be seen as the commander of the team, much like Rick Flag. Now why I pick Zemo is because he is still very much alive after the events of Civil War, but not only that, his cunning mind would make him a very dangerous member of the Thunderbolts. Now one may argue that Zemo would be useless in the Thunderbolts considering that he has next to no skills, but who's not to say that Zemo can't don the mask and have a sword and ultimately kick ass? Marvel Studios have flirted with the idea of Zemo becoming the Baron, so it wouldn't surprise me if Zemo ultimately dons the costume down the road. Now my next member for the MCU's Thunderbolts is the Vulture, and personally I believe that the Vulture would be the perfect member to join the Thunderbolts. And plus he's very much alive after Spider-Man Homecoming, and to many people the Vulture is the best MCU villain in a very long time. And for a very good reason, because he was threatening, sympathetic, and just downright memorable. And if Thunderbolt Ross gave Toomes a deal in that he could see his family again, but at the cost of joining the Thunderbolts, then I could imagine him totally taking that chance. Now a bit of a wishful thinking on my end, but my next member is of course the Abomination. Now it is true that Blonsky hasn't been seen ever since The Incredible Hulk back in 2008, however as far as we're concerned he is still very much incarcerated. And if we're not going to have the Red Hulk as the muscle of the team, then the Abomination is the best way to go. And yet it's true that the original actor for the Abomination's contract has expired, but you could easily just remake the Abomination by making him a completely CG monster, redesign him to look more like the comics, and then just explain that he was just further mutated over the years. And there you go, there's your explanation. Now a very interesting choice I have is of course Mbaku, or as some of you may know as the Man-Ape. Now at the time of this recording, Black Panther has not came out yet, so we really don't know his deal. But what we do know is that Mbaku will make a reappearance in Avengers Infinity War, and I presume come from Black Panther's main enemy, he'll probably come back in the inevitable sequel for Black Panther. And if he is much like in the comics where he despises Black Panther, I can totally imagine him just wanting to kill Black Panther by any means, even if he is forced to join the Thunderbolts. Now a pretty controversial pick that I have is of course Crossbones, and I say he's controversial mainly because he is practically dead in Civil War, or so we think, as lately we've been getting a bunch of hints that Crossbones may still be alive. Now how he survived or how he's gonna get brought back remains a mystery, but I feel like Crossbones can bring a lot to the table, as he is a very skilled hand-to-hand combatant, as well as a deadly mercenary and even an assassin. And with a character that is so skilled, you would so want someone like Crossbones to be on the team. Now hands down the most obscure choice that I have for the Thunderbolts is Baron Mordo. And the reason why he's so obscure is purely because he is a magic-based character. But clear as day, the MCU has big plans for Mordo, and we do know that Mordo is exterminating any sorcerer he can find. And given that Doctor Strange will probably join the Avengers after the 4th film, I can totally imagine Baron Mordo making an uneasy alliance with the Thunderbolts, so that way he can settle the score with Doctor Strange. Now another interesting choice I have is a new variation of Whiplash. Now obviously the original Whiplash did die at the end of Iron Man 2, but the reason why I want a new variation on Whiplash to join the Thunderbolts is because I think it would be cool to have a heavily armoured character who has a background on technology, and someone who would be very formidable in a fight. And personally, I think it would be interesting to have a complete revamp of an old villain in the MCU. And it's not the first time that Whiplash has been swapped out with different people over the years. And yet another wishful thinking on my end is of course the Absorber Man, which is unlikely seeing as how the TV side of Marvel doesn't cross over with the overall MCU. But that being said, I think the Absorber Man would fit right at home with the Thunderbolts, as he really isn't a bad guy. Seeing as how he already wants to be redeemed, I feel like the Thunderbolts would be a good gateway for him to do just that. And then in terms of new characters to introduce to the Thunderbolts, I would love to see Taskmaster, because much like Crossbones, Taskmaster is a very skilled combatant and is also a dangerous mercenary. But unlike Crossbones, Taskmaster does have the additional ability of mimicking people's fighting styles. And honestly, if Taskmaster was to be introduced into the MCU, then I feel like that the Thunderbolts would be a very good way to start. And finally we have Songbird, who is such a crucial member in the Thunderbolts that you would have to introduce her if you were to make an MCU's version of the team. And seeing as how she can manipulate sound, she could make for a very powerful member of the Thunderbolts. And honestly, I would just love to see Songbird make an appearance in the MCU down the road. Now clearly, as you can see from my list, there are quite a lot of members in my Thunderbolts. However, you could easily get rid of some of them and make room for more. Like for example, you could easily replace Crossbones with Taskmaster. But either way, if Marvel was to introduce the Thunderbolts in the MCU, I would want the lineup to be something like this. And I know majority of them are returning villains, however I feel like most of them deserve another chance and could easily bounce off of one another, which will make the team all the more interesting. So what do you think of my wish list for the potential MCU Thunderbolts roster? And who would you personally recruit in the Thunderbolts if they were to be introduced to the MCU? Comment below and share some thoughts. And as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, take care and have a good one.